Hi, welcome to the Wired
and Rewired podcast all about the hit HBO series, The Wire.
I'm Chris, and this is my 1,000th time watching The Wire.
And this is Ellie. It's my first.
So if you're new to the Force or a longtime veteran, we think you'll find something here to enjoy. Today we cover Season 2, Episode 11, Bad Dreams. And as always, we start by popping a recap. With the clock ticking, the detail makes a desperate move, and Daniels reams out Landsman for dropping the ball. Nick's deceit is in the open as Sabatka and is overwhelmed by bad news. The Greeks confidently ease out of a brief encounter with the detail, and Omar's suspicions are validated. The detail hopes to find Vondis's boss, and Nick hopes to repair relations with the Greeks. Sabatka is forced to make a difficult choice. This episode was written by George Pelecanos, who also wrote the penultimate episode of Season 1, and it was directed by Ernest Dickerson. This is his, I think, third or fourth episode directing, and it premiered on August 17th, 2003.
Okay.
All right, well, why don't you bust out the epigraph for us?
I need to get clean, said by Sabatka. Frank Sabatka.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the way that he gets clean. I think that there's something quite nice about that. So,
yes.
Okay, any initial thoughts before we get into your predictions?
No, I mean, this one is pretty woven together at this point here. We're so close to the end. So I will, when I go through and do the summary here or the play-by-play, we'll start with Omar and then we'll get into everybody else.
Okay. I'll share here that Alan Sepinwall, who I mention pretty much every episode, he wrote in his summary of this episode that the thing that was interesting was that probably as much as any episode, he found himself just screaming at the TV, trying to tell the characters, what's behind the door or whatever. And I definitely agree. Even in rewatching this, when we get to it, you're just like, you're watching it all happen. And so Sepinwall talked about how David Simon, being this big fan of the Greek tragedies, like everything is already laid out. And so even though you are rooting for a different outcome, part of you kind of knows what's in the path. So,
and it has to be like that.
Pretty much. Pretty much. So, all right. Well, before we get into the episode itself, let us go through your predictions.
Okay.
So I mentioned in our recap of episode 10 that Ellie made a prediction about Omar and Stringer. I went back and listened to some of the episodes, it was episode 3.
Oh my gosh.
The predictions from episode 3, Ellie predicted that Omar and Stringer would talk. And 7 episodes later, yay, verily, it came to pass. So how you saw that was awesome. So I wanted to just give you credit. Like
Thank you.
Was, you planted the seed and then it showed up later. And of course, it's like one of the best interactions of
it is very good.
The season for sure. So, guys, so give you credit there. So that was one that you didn't see, but we talked about the raids.
Yeah.
So they raided all the places. Did not raid the cat house, but you still get the credit for all the different raids. They've got some arrests as well. Omar will meet with Stringer, so you said that. But you also said that he will not fall for it, which I'm giving you credit. Now, I am a nicer grader in this.
You're being really nice.
But the fact is that Stringer set him up to murder Mouzone, and Omar did not follow through. So I'm still, the fact that you saw that,
Thank you.
Yeah, so you got that. And then 2 more, but those are for the future of Cheryl giving birth and Amy leaving Nick for my rich doctor. So nevertheless, okay, well, that covers the predictions. So anything else before we get started?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, let's go then.
All right, let's get started. So we remember from the last season that Prop Joe and Stringer want to set up Omar, right? And so they met with Blind Butchie to get this whole thing set up, and now Omar comes in to meet up with Stringer to parlay. And it's been a year, and Omar says, I've been waiting to get to you. I haven't gotten my full retribution for what happened to Brandon. And that's when Stringer tells him that if you want closure, you have to get the man who actually killed and tortured Brandon, and tells him that the person it was Brother Mouzone. And Omar's like, well, why are you helping me out like this? He says, I just want to be even with you. I'll give you Mouzone, and then we'll be even after that.
What, a year? Boy, you don't know. I've been dreaming of running into you again.
You got focus. I give you that.
Man, be like that when you got work to do. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think you done enough. Bird gone. Weebay copped out to all them murders. He in jail now forever and a day. Stinkum. I mean, you closed the book on that nigga your damn self. Avon, he out of pocket for the time being.
Leaving you.
Oh, you looking for closure, huh?
Hey, look here, man, ain't no closure. Not unless Brandon gonna walk about his grave and come up in this room right now. See, all I know is whoever did him that way, they gets got.
Whoever did him that way, they still out there right now.
Oh, so now you're gonna play like you don't had nothing to do with it.
Nah, I can't lie. I put the motherfucking paper out on y'all, but y'all was fucking with my stash. Anything after that, part of the game.
Maybe. But see, y'all went past that with Brandon.
That wasn't me. That wasn't Avon either. Bird and them were there to see it, but another man did all the extras. All that cigarette shit. All that bullshit with the eyes. See, now this man, he building a rep for himself, and he wants you bad. The brutal shit, that's his calling card. Little bow tie wearing motherfucker from out of NYC. Yeah, small dude.
What'd he go by?
Brother Mouzone. I know you heard of him, right? So if y'all got the mind to go after him, I might be able to point you in that direction.
Why?
What happened to your boy was business. But how that shit happened, I mean, you got the right to take that to heart. I figured that'll make us even. Now, you want to know where this nigga is?
You know, it didn't feel incredibly believable to me that Omar falls for it so quickly, just because we know, like, Bird is a psychopath. Everybody knew that, so I don't understand why he accepts so easily that it was actually Brother Mouzone who tortured Brandon, but there you go.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think that on probably one level, so Stringer says that Bird and Stinkum and Weebabe were there.
Yeah.
But Brother Mouzone was the one who went. So that kind of set that aside. I mean, Omar doesn't have more than that to go on. And then also Stringer's just playing to his emotions.
Yep, that's true.
And I mean, and I think that probably to some degree because Omar is there kind of because of Butchie, kind of saying that, you want to parlay and things like that. I feel like there's there's some emotion kind of running in as well. So I don't know. I think your point is good though. And I think that's kind of probably why he's so easily convinced by Brother Mouzone later.
Yeah.
So
later. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. That's true. Well, back at the hotel where Brother Mouzone...
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like,
go ahead.
Because I just... this episode, you're just going to be flying through some stuff, so I wanted to just catch it.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to give some appreciation to the pull-in on Omar. And it just... Michael K. Williams, he is reacting to every word of Stringer's kind of setup, and it's really amazing because he's stone-faced, but he's got enough emotion that you're really reading it quite well.
Right.
So it's really an impressive performance by Michael K. Williams in particular. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time since Brandon's death has happened, and I think he does a really nice job of kind of, revisiting those emotions for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So that you get back into that place.
Yeah. I wonder if it would be very curious to know if you had not seen the episode or this first season. This was your first season.
Yeah.
Which interestingly, a lot of people did see this for the first time as season 2.
Okay.
Because this had the highest ratings of any season.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, people were like picking up on the popularity of the series and watching
that's
season 2.
There's kind of a separate discussion about it. It came on right after The Sopranos, so it's I think there's some speculation that it was more about that. There's some discussion about because there were more white characters that kind of resonated too. So
okay,
we can't really ascribe any kind of motivation, but in any case, the point is that the what's nice is that without going too far into it, they give you enough information that if you didn't see season 1, you still understand the motivation. So anyway, okay, sorry.
Okay.
I will try to not interrupt. That's the last time I'll interrupt. I'll just hold my I'll hold my
No,
tongue
you
until-
can interrupt.
Okay.
It's fine. All right. So we're at the hotel where Brother Mouzone is staying. Lamar is whistling at a cute dog. He loves dogs, apparently, in the parking lot of their hotel. And then he goes into the room where we see Brother Mouzone sitting on the bed. And Brother Mouzone wants to know if they have his Harper's Magazine yet. We know he's really well read, likes to keep up on all the news, but Lamar's like, they don't have that kind of magazine here, and goes on to let him know what other kinds of magazines he could get if he really wanted. But he decides to head out anyway to look for this, and guess who is watching this whole time that this is going down? It is Omar. So Omar is seeing how Lamar gets in, what the room is, what Lamar is like, taking in all of this information. And so later we see Lamar outside Mouzone's door again, and some lovely ladies come up with a cute dog. It's Kimmy and Tasha. Hi, Kimmy and Tasha.
It's been a while.
And, we know somebody likes dogs. It's Lamar. And they say, they want to know where the party is. Lamar's like, there's no party up here. And boom, that's when Omar bashes him over the head from behind. Omar does the special knock, and Mouzone opens the door and immediately gets shot in the stomach by Omar. And, he's blasted back. He's on the floor. Omar comes in, tells Mouzone why he shot him, what happened to Brandon, that it was a year ago. And despite the pain, Brother Mouzone is somehow lucid enough to say, that wasn't me. Omar doesn't believe him, says you're just saying that so that you don't want to die.
Yeah.
And Mouzone says, I'm at peace with my God, and immediately starts mouthing a prayer, you can see. And that's when Omar realizes that Mouzone did not do it. And I think he says something else too, like that the gun bore straight through him out his back, and Mouzone says a 9mm will do that at close distance or something, which kind of gives you more the idea that he's not like a torturer. He's like like he's somebody that uses a gun to kill some. I don't know. It just gave me the idea like that, even more lending credence to the fact that that's not his style. And then Omar calls 911 for him and never apologizes for shooting him. And he just steps out. There you go.
Yep.
So, yeah. So hopefully Brother Mouzone lives.
What is it, Lamar?
No need to prolong this.
Nah, we got time.
You kill my man?
Nah, he rested. I'm saying, ain't you want to know?
Not particularly.
About a year ago, a boy named Brandon got here in Baltimore. Stuck and burned before he passed.
The game is the game.
Indeed. See, that boy was beautiful. Wasn't no need for you to do him the way y'all did. You feel me?
A year, you say?
About that.
You got some wrong information.
Man, you lying to live.
I'm at peace with my God. Do what you will. So you know what happened to your boy. It's not my style.
Where you bleeding out your back, look like that bullet ball clean through.
9 at close range will do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we will find out about that. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. I mean, we learned last time, or was the last episode before, where he is clearly very well versed in, ballistics, right? He makes his own bullets,
Right.
or he crafts his own bullets, whatever.
Right.
And so, he understands like how that kind of thing works. The scene itself is really, I don't know. I guess I'm curious. What was your What was do you remember what your experiences in watching it?
Oh, I mean, the minute that he blasts him and he shoots back, I was just like, oh, gasp.
Yeah.
You know, like I did not expect it to go down that quickly.
Yeah.
Like that, you know, I didn't know. I guess I thought maybe he would torture him too, or there would be a conversation first or something like that. I did not expect the scene to go as, you know, as quickly and as suddenly as it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about why, you know, the fact that he shot him in the stomach first.
Yeah. Well, I guess
So
that's
he
its
could-
own kind of torture, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah,
And I think
that's
also,
supposed to be a slow death.
yeah. But also I think he probably, you know, Omar going in believing that Brother Mouzone tortured Brandon, he probably wanted to say a few words before that. So he didn't kill him straight away.
Right.
He left it open.
Let him know.
And then, of course, like it kind of works itself out. And so were you surprised kind of the other direction that Omar let him essentially didn't finish him off? Okay.
Yes, I was.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I you know, again,
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was like the first time.
No, I was surprised, and kind of delighted because I'm hoping this sets up some very interesting interactions
Okay.
in the next season.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and then the last little bit. Oh, so yeah, you can see the prayer he's Mouzone
Yeah.
saying is Allah Akbar.
Allah, yeah.
Yeah. So which I just thought was a nice touch. And then though it always does make me wonder how you have a religious person who kills people. I don't understand how you square those two things.
Yep.
So anyway, so that's kind of a separate thing. And then the room itself is 221,
I noticed that.
which I just thought was, you know, that's the number that Deanne was on D'Angelo's flowers. at the
Exactly.
funeral.
Yes,
So
I know.
I don't know if it was on purpose or
just, yeah.
seems it's, you know, somebody subconscious was working on that.
Yeah. It's like we're
So-
just put that in anywhere we
Yeah.
can.
So yeah, and then that's it. Yeah. So then, and I like the sort of the professionalism of, you know, Omar saying, looks like that blood went
Yeah.
clean through,
Yeah.
you know, because I think that for a situation where if it had gone, say, upward trajectory from like the stomach, it would hit the rib and then potentially bounce back, causing more damage. But
Right.
going straight through, it's kind of, you know, it's not that it's without damage, but, you know, through your intestines, I imagine there's not a ton of vital organ, or, you know,
Right.
you're not in serious danger,
Yeah.
you know. So I'm saying that like I know what I'm talking about. But,
Like you've been
and-
shot in
Yeah,
the
exactly.
stomach
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. So and a 9mm is a relatively small caliber too, so
Okay.
it doesn't do a ton of damage going through. So anyway, yeah, okay, that's the end of that. So
Okay, well, let's move into the other part of the story here, and we're going to start with Nick, who wakes up. He's sleeping. Well, maybe he doesn't wake up quite yet. He's sleeping in a room with a little lady who I just assumed was Amy and then realized it was Prissy.
yep,
God, Nick.
yeah,
Idiot. Okay, but the raids have begun. Police bust into Pyramid Inc. and into Gleekus' store and Nick Sabaka's house. He's not there, obviously. They're looking through the offices. They're trying to find any paperwork, but it's all been cleared out already by the people, the Greeks people. Kima goes to the shower that's there in one of the buildings. I'm not sure, maybe it's Pyramid Inc. and sees there's traces of drugs on the drain. Bunk and Freeman see a big blood spot on the floor at Gleekus's. White Mike is arrested. He's yelling that they got nothing on him. Eton is arrested. They find guns in his house. And Fitz and McNulty are taking down Sergei, who decides he's not going down without a fight.
Yep.
And then Herc and Carver find the money that Nico stashed in the laundry room. They take that. They're quite happy with that. Plus more drugs. And they sit Amy and Nick's dad down on the sofa. And they are looking just kind of stunned. And then we go to Nick, who has finally risen from bed to see the mistake, the first of the mistakes that he has made in that day. Or night.
Yeah.
Or lifetime.
yeah. I'll tell you now that just the quick thing about Nick, and so it was Prissy Cadlow, right?
Yeah.
And I remember watching that, and I think I also thought it was Amy, and I don't think I was like, oh wait, Amy's. Anyway, the point is that it didn't really register with me that he had done something,
Yeah.
unethical.
Yeah.
And so this time I'm like,
Yeah.
and then of course like making the connection to Prissy Cadlow.
Yes.
Right. Being a promiscuous woman.
Exactly.
And so, in any case, so I will, I forgive her because she was very upset about Ziggy.
Yes.
Nikki, you have no excuse. So.
No, he has no excuse. Yeah, he's got a baby.
Yeah.
And a mama. Yeah, it's interesting too because this episode starts out in a very sort of, I don't know, frenzied, like short scenes, and then it ends that way too.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll kind of come around to that again.
Yep. The other thing I remember thinking when I first watched this was they scoop up that little trace amount of drugs, and I'm like, well, that's enough, isn't it? And you're like, no, it's not. That's nothing. That doesn't, even if you could prove
Slap
it was
on the wrist.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have less than an ounce of cocaine on the ground. Like, what are you going to charge them with? And that's, again, like, it's just one of those things where I do feel like The Wire, it just because they stick to the realism. Yeah, that's why you're kind of, you are forced to sort of, why don't they just arrest somebody? Right. I got in a whole debate. This is a little sidetrack, but I got in a whole debate about season 1 when Tasha was found in the dumpster, right? The woman that overdosed, right? Yeah. With Stinkum and Weebay and D'Angelo. And someone was like, how did they not arrest those guys? Because they had their semen, and they're like, what's the charge? Yeah. Like, they had sex with her. That's not a crime. Right. And, now we know
there's some circumstantial evidence, but
Yeah, and we know, and we are the omniscient views knew that Weebay sexually assaulted her. Right. But unless you have forensic evidence, that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. And so all it means is that she had sex with these guys, and that's it. And the point is that people are like, no, but I know what happened. It's like, well, yeah, you know what happened. They dumped a ton of drugs down the drain. Like that's a little trace. That's got to prove something, right? No, it doesn't prove anything. So,
yes. And the thing is, I like too that because they know that the viewer, I think, is going to be like, well, isn't there going to be a trace on the drain or something? And so they do. They show you there's a trace on the drain and make you go through the process of thinking, like, by their reactions, that's not going to be enough to do anything.
Exactly. So I do like, exactly. So I like how The Wire forces you to kind of understand what the law actually is and what you can actually prove. So, all right. And then let's see, anything about no, I mean, the scene with Sergey getting arrested, I love watching that because he's really fighting.
Yes.
It really
is my God. You're all over the place.
And Dominic West kind of flies over the side of the bed.
You're like, did he mean to do that?
Yeah, and I couldn't tell if he was just trying to make sure that I think he might have been going for a gun, and he was anyway. So yeah, it's just kind of cool. Yeah. That whole scene again.
That was really good.
And no music, kind of driving it, just kind of anyway. So yep. I think that's it.
All right. Well, we've got that frenzy going on, but then Sabaka, leisurely steps out his front door. He grabs the paper. No one seems to be raiding his house. And he sees Ziggy and the murder of Gleekus in the paper. And we see that Valchek and a couple of feds are watching Sabaka from across the street. Mm-hmm. And they don't take him there. They follow him instead because they want a big public takedown. Yep. Yeah. Moving on, Beatty wants to know why they'd leave Vandopoulos out there and not bring him in. And Daniels explains in a way that helps us all understand that this is the way that they can get to his boss. They realize that there's something, somebody above him. We know it's the Greek. They don't know that, but they know that there's somebody bigger out there. Bunk and Freeman come in and say they won't be bringing in Double G. And they show Daniels the same article that Frank was just looking at. They tell him that Double G's office was totally clean. So Daniels wants to know who caught the murder of Double G, and he finds out it's Landsman, and he's pissed. And Beatty adds a little note that he is deceased to his picture that's on the board. Yeah. There. So.
Yep. Yeah, I don't really have much to add about that. It just, Daniels just leaving the office.
Yeah. I love the way he leaves the office. Yeah, because he leaves the office, he's pissed, and McNulty and Herc and Carver and Freeman are coming back as it happens. And that's when McNulty tells him that the feds are waiting on Sabaka. Why? Or he tells, yes, and he says, why? Well, you don't want to know. Yeah. Nick comes back home And as he walks into his house, everyone is out on the street just looking at him. And he looks like, oh my God, what's going on? We know what's going on.
Yeah.
And he goes in, and his mom and his dad are picking up the place, which has been just, tossed to hell because they've been looking all over for drugs and all this other evidence. His mom is crying, and his dad tells him that the drugs and the money are gone and that he's got a warrant out and he needs to go to the police station.
Yeah.
So it's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's not even there while all this is gone. It's like betrayal to his family, huge betrayal to his family.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I mentioned was that I don't think I noticed it before this, but Pablo Schreiber's head is literally touching the ceiling of his room.
I know.
And I don't know if it's a metaphor, but it definitely like if it wasn't intentionally a metaphor, it definitely feels like a pretty good one. So yeah, and then Robert J. Hogan, who plays his dad, he just looks at the back at the whatever that little metal tubing thing is, and he just says it's gone.
It's gone.
Ugh, man, and he's so resigned to it. It's just really It's a tough scene to watch, but also just really well done.
Yes, agree. All right, some interrogations start taking place. Kind of, Herc and Carver are interrogating Ton, who refuses to talk, even with cigarette smoke being blown in his face.
Yeah.
Kima and Beatty are interviewing Ilona, and when she asks for a name, she gives them the words, I think it's Greek. She's Greek, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that translates to lesbian and dirty. No, it's Russian.
Oh, is it really?
Lesbian and dirty cunt.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to use the Google Translate for that.
Google Translate picked up the C word, didn't it?
It did. It did. Yeah. I didn't make that up. You trust me. I don't use that word if I don't have to.
I wouldn't think so. No. I myself am like.
I mean, the first one you can guess because she's like lesbianka.
Yeah. That one didn't take a lot of.
The second one, I was like, I wonder what that is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And I don't know if it, That's pretty funny because, I myself need to take a few minutes because I'm now just stunned by Ellie dropping that word so casually. But it's, I don't know if it was intentional, but just the callback to the bird interrogation where he calls her a lesbian.
Yes.
I just, is it written on her
forehead?
I don't
not
understand.
at all. She has a slightly lower voice. I
So
don't know.
anyway, so that part, Okay, so that's the interrogations are pretty fun.
Yes, we got Fitz and McNulty interviewing Sergei, who also doesn't want to talk, and since he won't say what his name is, they tell him he'll be known as Boris.
Yeah.
And Sergei's like, "Why Boris again?"
Yeah, and I'm sorry. Of course, that's a joke. That's a callback to that joke. But I was like, I think probably the first time I don't think even though I should have, I was like, maybe McNulty doesn't know his name, but he literally says his name like earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
So he just calls him Boris just to fuck with him, which I just
piss him off.
Yeah, which I just like.
State your name.
No name, huh? Well, for now, we'll just call you Boris.
Boris. Why always Boris?
Why always Boris? Yeah.
The FBI people are telling Sabaka the charges against him: conspiracy to violate federal customs statutes, conspiracy to import heroin, racketeering, wire fraud, and white slavery.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's the forced prostitution of women is what it referred to.
Sure.
Yeah. I had to look it up, though, but I was like, that's such a weird phrasing for that.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Is it so? But it's, why does the color of the person's skin matter?
I don't know. I don't know if they're using. I don't know if it's because the word slavery gives it more gravitas, and like prostitution has just maybe not seemed as bad, or like, I don't know, they weren't really using sex trafficking as much in that time, the terminology sex trafficking. I wasn't sure. I thought it was really interesting too, but it's a little more antiquated.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, in any case, that was, but sorry, if you don't mind, we skipped over, I think.
Valchek pulling in.
Yeah. So I just thought
yes.
Yeah, I don't know if that, it's obviously not critical to the story, obviously, but man,
Oh, it's so disgusting.
It's so...
He does it in the most asshole-ish way. He's just waiting for the perfect time. You know, the fact that, you know, he pulls his arm up and he has to make this big show of pushing his head down into the car.
Yeah.
And, you know, even just the FBI woman who's looking out the window. And at first I was like, what is she looking out the window for?
Yeah.
And then you realize she's waiting for the press to get there
Yeah.
so that he can have his little heyday. Ugh.
Yeah, I couldn't...
Gross.
So the part that I didn't quite understand was... She says not enough profile when they see him at his house.
Yeah.
So then I'm guessing that they called the press.
Yeah, I think so.
The FBI did.
Yes.
But Valchek, of course, like enjoys the
Right.
perp walk as it is
Oh,
as well.
yes.
So yeah. God, and Valchek just
Yep.
it's a big man on the dock. What
Yep.
a fucking asshole.
He
God,
is.
I just cannot believe
He's
it.
so good at being
Yeah.
so perfectly
and
asshole-ish.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll just, I just got to say here that, like, so go all the way back to the beginning, the kind of the inciting event, right? Valchek buys, wants to get
It's
a window.
a stained glass window.
Yeah, and Frank also got there first.
Yep.
Now, we can talk about Frank's approach to Valchek now that we kind of see it all have all played out.
Yeah.
And I have a question for you later, so we'll come back to that. But the point I want to just make is, like, Frank he got the window simply to get access to people that would help the union with getting the channel or the canal dredged or building up the grain pier to get more jobs for his union.
Right.
What was Valchek's motivation? Just glorification of himself, glorification of his union, whatever,
Right,
his guys
right,
or whatever.
the police,
But there was
what he
no
does.
grander benefit. It was just to, shed, bring this kind of spotlight to himself.
Yeah.
And so just the motivation was entirely different. And it's just awful that, Frank, obviously he made his bed, but anyway, so it's just one of those things where Valchek used the power of his position to, essentially prosecute Frank. And again, this is not to absolve Frank of any of his wrongdoings, but the point is that, like, that was what the nature of the whole conflict was about. That Valchek making himself look great, and Sabaka did it to help
Other
this
people.
grander
Yep.
thing. So anyway, it's obviously
I know.
the tragedies are everywhere.
Yes.
So anyway,
Yes.
yeah,
I really would have liked it if, like, Valchek still had, like, a black eye or something.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But he doesn't.
No.
All right. Well, the feds want Sabaka to name names. They say it will help his union. And he's like, well, where's been our help this whole time? You
Yeah.
know, we've been, like, completely forgotten.
Name names and come clean. You help yourself and your union.
Help my union. For 25 years, we've been dying slow down there. Dry docks rusting, piers standing empty. My friends and their kids like we got the cancer. No lifeline got thrown all that time. Nothing from nobody. You want to help us? Help me?
Keema McNulty interviewed White Mike, and they did. That's right. They share with him the "Did he have a hands? Did he have a face?" call with Sergey, and White Mike knows. Okay, they got stuff
That's
on
it,
me.
yep,
They have him
yep.
getting drugs from the Greeks,
Yep.
basically. So
Yeah.
we know White Mike is screwed now. He's in a tight place.
Yep.
And let's see here, Sabaka. Oh yeah, got that one. Okay, White Mike tells him that. Oh, wait a second. Did I miss the thing about White Mike? The 2 hot dogs and a strawberry soda.
You haven't covered that.
I have
have you?
not. Oh my God. Okay. First off, okay. It makes me so mad. White Mike tells him Eitan is Jewish. He's from, quote, that Jew country.
Yeah.
Sergey is the muscle. And he says he doesn't know who's above them.
Yep.
And he gets hungry. He wants some food. He wants 2 hot dogs and a strawberry soda, which is an order that McNulty's going to mess up.
Yeah.
And so Keema's got to do it. Oh my God, I hated that so much. And the fact that she got up and did it, that's what pissed me off more. What a I'm not going to get the hot dogs and the soda. You go get the fucking hot dogs and the soda.
I wrote down, what the hell, McNulty?
What the hell?
I mean, you admit that you fucked the order up? Like, it's 3 things.
It's
really 2 things.
I'm gonna mess it
One
up.
times 2.
You go do it, woman. God.
Yeah, that's I don't understand that.
Yep.
But McNulty is gonna McNulty.
Shitty
So
move. McNulty gonna McNulty.
Yeah.
That's so true.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's see here. Frank is then busting out of the federal building. When I say busting out, he's not like busting out, but he is on a mission. He says, I got to go see my son and I got to get clean. Right. Our epigraph.
Yeah, sorry, I'll just mention here
Go ahead.
that I didn't pick up until this time that the feds in that interview with with Frank Sabaka said, name names and come clean.
Yeah.
And so then here he says, I got to get clean.
I gotta get
which
clean.
I just think, is
Yeah.
really, I like that.
Yeah.
Like that's how he gets clean. It's not
Exactly.
by naming people. It's
Yeah.
and giving anything to the feds. It's about doing proper work.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It is interesting. First I was like, is he drunk? Is he on drugs? You got to get clean. But then you get the idea when you see what he does later.
Yeah.
Okay. White Mike tells them that Sergey killed Mau Willis.
Who I don't think we know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Because he was telling on Eton. And this is what I was saying. Sergey and Eton report to. White Mike doesn't know who they report to. Okay, Frank is at the jail now, and he gets to talk to Ziggy. And Zig is looking beat up, and we find out it wasn't the cops who did it. It's all the big violent guys that he is presently locked up with, and they just look huge compared to him in the background there. Frank tells him that he's trying to get bail for him. He asks what happened, and Zig says he got tired of being the joke. We talked about this, he just he couldn't handle being the butt of every joke anymore. Frank says, I could have helped you out, but Ziggy says you wouldn't have heard. You had all these other things going on. And he kind of like intimates that they were not, the things that his dad was doing were like enjoyment, that they weren't really work. But Frank was like, it was work. You know, when I was doing it, when it didn't seem like it was work, it was still work. And I was doing it for you and for your mom. And this is actually the most that we ever learned about Ziggy's mom. She's not exactly a present parent.
Yep.
She seems like she's usually just kind of drugged out to a comatose state or whatever, checking out on life. Ziggy cries. He confesses that he feels terrible. He really feels bad about shooting a young man that worked at Double G's. He says that's when he thinks about what he did, he feels so bad. And Frank tells him, that's not you. And Ziggy's like, are you sure? Because I'm not like you. And that's when Frank says, you're a Sabaka. And Ziggy then kind of, for a moment, plays it cool and goes back to the holding cell with all those scary guys. And then he just sits down.
What happened?
I don't know. I got tired. Got tired of being a punchline to every joke.
You had problems, you could have come to me. Could have said something.
You wouldn't have heard. You were always too busy dredging up the canal, making sure the right bum got elected, buying another round for the house. I always used to think you were working all them hours you spent away.
It was all work, Zig, even when it wasn't. For you and your mother.
I bet you didn't even tell her I was in here, did you? Maybe you did, and Shardy took 3 Nebutol, sleeping a day away.
Leave her out of this.
She's out of it, don't worry. Pop. When I seen what I did to that kid down at the store, it made me sick in my stomach.
That ain't you, Zig.
It ain't. 'Cause the same blood don't flow for us, Pop. I mean, I wish it did, but it don't.
You're more like me than you know. You're a Sabaka.
fucked is what I am. What can I say?
Yeah. So there's a good discussion in all the pieces of matter about this. So, but first, no, I'll cover that in a second. So
Okay.
I got a couple things, but I wanted. So James Ransone talks about. He says Ernest Dickerson shot that episode, and he and Chris Bauer had already gotten into their rhythm.
Okay.
So they knew it was coming to a close, and you can use fake tears, but for that he's like, I want this to make this as authentic as possible. So when Chris and I shot that jail scene, we had developed such a kinship. They shot my coverage first. They were like, all right, we're going to shoot your side. And then they were like, all right, once we sort of have what we want to view, we'll come around and we'll get Chris Bauer's side. It's really tiring to cry that much. You really got to work yourself into a pretty dark state, and you have to stay there to make it conceivable. We're on Chris's side, and I had the choice whether or not I just remove myself from that dark space and feel like I don't have to cry as much anymore. I was a pretty young dude, and I was like, fuck that. This dude has shown me gratitude and respect. I think that there's a better performance of me that didn't get filmed, because I was like, I want to give you the best version that I possibly can every time, so you have something to react off of. So Chris Bauer said, between us was so apparent, or sorry, I cut some stuff, and the words so elegantly placed to avoid sentiment and indulging in emotional understanding beyond the character's own understanding. So the point is that they stayed in the character's kind of,
right.
Yep. That the scene played itself. It is an utterly loving embrace of people at their most human, witnessing the dissolution of their best intentions in excruciating pain because there's nothing they can do to stop the collapse of their lives.
That's amazing.
And why is it my favorite scene? Besides how permissive and supportive the crew and director Ernest Dickerson were, it's a beautiful love scene. I think of it now and I get moist in the eyes.
Oh.
They were fucked. Look at the writing in that scene. Sabaka says to Ziggy, in a noble effort to rouse some fight and macho optimism, you're Sabaka. Ziggy answers, fucked is what I am. It gives me chills. So it's just I just love the kind of those little behind the scenes moments.
It is. It's pretty. I mean, it tells you so much, because that scene is so. Oh my God, it is really just so. It's poignant, but it's really difficult to watch, and just to know that, like, that whole time that we're seeing Frank's character, to know that James Ransom is staying in character, just so he has something to be able to put that performance together.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And you never would have known that. So that's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So here is where I want to mention the metaphor of Ziggy's unit.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to share it earlier because but it's really kind of interesting to me that, he inherited this sizable member, appendage. And it was, he inherited it, right? He didn't do anything to earn it, or, didn't anything to make it what it was.
Yeah.
He just inherited it. And he never really, it's almost like you'd ever hear the phrase, like, being born on third base and think you hit a triple, right?
Yes.
Like, he never, and like we saw at the very beginning of the season, that Frank was always covering for him, right? Frank was covering from fucking up. He didn't really have to face any consequences. And so, we'll talk about what Frank said, when we talk with Beatty, or in his talk with Beatty, but it's just like, he had like noble intention almost all the way through.
Right.
But, he didn't do the job of parenting the way that he probably should have.
Yeah.
And so, instead of Ziggy kind of learning, I've got to act right and I've got to work hard and whatever. And it's not like there's a silver bullet. It seems to me that Nick's dad tried to teach him right, and even Nick went.
Yep.
And there's another comment I'll make about that when we get to Vaughn, Spiros, and Nick later. But in any case, I think the metaphor, of course, is quite interesting, whether it was intentional or not. just I don't know if I mentioned it before, but like Frank talking about he's got like 3 inches of blue steel, and Ziggy being like, pulling out this like however big that thing was. So in any case, but I just thought it was it's very interesting the things that we inherit, and I think about this a lot with like the issues that I have, the limitations that I have. My kids have to essentially deal with those.
Sure.
And so I'm trying to like work through those myself to make myself better so that they're not weighed down. And I mean, in a way, like that's kind of what Ziggy suffered from, is that his dad was weighed down by this perception that the union was the life.
Right.
And so Ziggy inherited that life and the limitations that that existed within it. So anyway, all right, it was a roughly thrown together essay on Ziggy's penis, but anyway, thank you for indulging me.
Excellent. No, well, fabulous metaphor. No, very good.
Okay.
All right, so McNulty, Kima, Bunk, Beatty, and Fitz give Daniels the lowdown on what they want to do next. Perlman's going to figure out a proffer for White Mike. They are still looking for Nick Sabatka. Daniels is concerned that did I say Nick Sabatka there? Yes, I did. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So Daniels is concerned that the case gets thin when they get to Spiros, and we have a little joke about ancient Greeks and civilization and homosexuality in that moment. Mm-hmm. Daniels is just tired. You can just see it. Kima wants to stay on Spiros, and Daniels asks Fritz if they can throw some surveillance their way, but Fitz is like, hey, the Feds got what they wanted. Yeah. So you guys are on Vondopolis all on your own. Yep. So, but there's a plan in place. Mm-hmm. We're moving forward here. Okay. Back to Frank. Frank and his brother Lewis are talking, and Lewis says we should have paid more attention to our own. This is a little bit what you were just talking about. Frank says I could never control Ziggy, and Lewis says I'm talking about Nick. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Frank's like, oh, they're just looking at everyone associated with the union. It's not a big deal. Everybody's getting this kind of scrutiny, but Lewis is like, bro, they tossed my house. Yeah, they found heroin, and Frank says, I knew that they were hawking some of the stuff that they were stealing out of the containers, but I didn't expect it to go to this. And this is where Lewis is just like seeing red. He's just like, what did you think that they were going to do once they got a taste of some easy money like this? And Frank is very shamed by that. Mm-hmm. He should have said something to his brother. He shouldn't have just tried to handle it on his own, in his way. Yeah. God damn it.
They tossed my house, Frank. They don't do that when there's a couple of cases of vodka missing. They made me sign a search warrant. That's a receipt for what they found. Heroin, Frank. From this house.
No, that ain't right. That can't be right. I knew Nicky and Zig was boosting stuff, cameras, shit like that. Nothing like this.
You knew? And once Nicky got used to boosting stuff and seeing a little money, what did you think he was going to do? Turn straight all of a sudden and give it up? Nah, Frank. Once you gave him a taste on a house, just...
That was never. I mean, he knew. He knew. Everything I did, the cans I let through, the money we got from that went to keeping what we had.
God damn it, Frank. Don't let that excuse this. Not this. Uncle Frank with thick shoulders. If it's broke, get my uncle. He can fix it.
Yeah, I mean we talked about it before. It's like a couple of cases of vodka.
Yep.
You think, oh well, what's the big deal?
Right.
It is. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It all
it
kind
is
of...
in this time, when there is no work. Like in old days that kind of happened, but they're still getting steady work. It's just like a little bit of a treat on the side. Mm-hmm. I think that's totally different than when you're doing it because you have no income.
Yeah.
So anyways, Frank walks into the local 47, and this is where we see him getting clean. He looks to see what's on the board, and he wants to work. And, he asked Little Big Roy for his card. Little Big Roy, yep, for his card, and says, I'll work it and you can get paid. So they let him work.
Good day for a ship.
This is the hiring hall, Frank. Working stevedores only.
Big Roy, let me have your card.
My card? What do you want my card for?
Not you, little Big Roy. Let me hold your card.
I need it. I'm gonna work the Cape St. George today.
I'll work it for you.
Work it for me?
I work the ship on your card. You work a bar stool down Clemens Street. And in a week, you get paid. Hey, Phil. I'm putting up for the Cape St. George.
I don't see no resemblance.
We're both bald, we're both Polacks. The fuck else you need to know?
Kind of interesting. I was not knowing where this was going at first, but I liked where it was going.
Yeah. I think it is, unless you're really like, I think you really have to be tuned in to understand what he's actually doing. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, and you see, like, he's doing, he's hauling boxes out of a can. It looks hard. He has to get on his butt and scooch himself out of the back of the can. And he's not being helped. He's being cold-shouldered, too. So it's like a penance.
Yeah.
Like I got to put myself through this to pay for my sins a little bit, but also to show these guys that I'm still one of them.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Bunk and McNulty are watching Spiros now come out of his house, and Kima and Beatty follow him. Oh my gosh, this part made me really nervous.
I was going to ask you about
Yes, I don't like these following things. Every time they start following somebody, I get freaked out. So the team follows Spiros to a parking garage. McNulty is getting the film and a camera ready very poorly. I don't know why he's so shitty at it, but it's not lost on Bunk. Beatty and Kima go into the garage, and Beatty asks Kima for some last-minute advice before she heads out to tail Fondopoulos. And, she gets a little bit of advice from Kima about how to use what's around her. So she follows him down the side of the building on foot, around a corner where he has stopped, and she knows because she's looked at a mirror as Kima has instructed her. Then into a hotel they go. She goes into the elevator with him. They're in the same elevator, and follows him out onto a floor. And this whole time it just feels really tense. Like I really just kept on thinking like she's a newbie and she's going to do something dumb and get caught, and she's got kids and this is not good. But he goes into a room and she finds out the room number and then heads back to the lobby to find him. And she's very proud of herself in this moment. She did a good job.
Yeah. Yep. No, you got it. And it is tense.
It is
definitely
like man. You keep
like,
on just sort of thinking like he's going to turn around any minute and walk over there and want to, get her or something.
Yeah, that part where she like looks around when she gets in the elevator.
Yeah.
And is like looking through her bag,
Yes.
like I was like, did she push a different button? I can't remember if she did or not.
I don't
and I was like,
either.
that would have been the move. It's
That
like you go,
been,
you're going up to the sixth floor or whatever. And then anyway, but then she like sneaks out of the elevator. You're like, and he stops and it's a good scene. And
it's a good scene.
I really I agree with you that it is tense even after having watched it a dozen times.
All right. Well, Spiros leaves with another guy, and what you actually see, so it's not a guy that I recognized at all, but what you actually see is the Greek then coming out right after, kind of behind them.
Yeah.
And he's lighting a cigarette and he's quickly walking off. And, the man that's with Spiros, he's like in a nice blue suit. He's got a silver briefcase. they end up thinking that is who is the boss, not the Greek who had slipped out nonchalantly. So back in the parking garage now, Spiros and the man with the briefcase, they get into a car and they leave the Benz behind because Spiros says it's hot. Kima leaves the garage, and as she leaves the garage, that is when the Greek comes sauntering into the garage right past her. And I guess it's to take the Benz that was left behind. Was that for him to take?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that he probably came in a different car.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. Back at the docks, Frank's still working when Nat asks if he knows how Moonshot got his name. I don't get that joke. Frank says, I don't care. Basically.
Yeah, I think pretty much that's it. I mean,
That's it.
it's
Okay.
Like, I think Nat was probably just trying to reconnect because he kind of gave him the cold shoulder when they were in the hiring hall.
Yes.
And Frank's like, I've got business to take care of.
Yeah.
I gotta take care of stuff, and I don't really have time to deal with this.
Okay.
So
just making sure I wasn't missing anything.
no, I don't think
there.
so. I mean,
Right.
just Nat just
Anybody
coming up
else
with some bullshit.
caught on to something that we should have caught on
Sure,
to?
yeah.
Please let us know.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, but I did want to mention just I think that when you look at kind of that closing scene, it just shows that Frank really earned his position,
Yes,
right?
yes.
He was really
he
knew exactly
Yeah.
what was supposed to be done. He's
Yep.
like, these got to get stripped. We need a forklift.
Yep.
He's just on it.
Yep.
And that's how you go up through the ranks is by essentially the exact opposite of what Ziggy was doing at the beginning. It's like, where's this can that I lost? Whereas Frank is right on top of it the whole time. So really just kind of goes to show that it's just an interesting kind of backstory in a way of how did Frank get to be where he was? And here, now you can see it in action.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. All right. Perlman is at the detail and asks who the room was booked to. It's not a name we've heard. Daniels asks what they can do for White Mike, and one of those things is witness protection. Beatty asks, well, what about Frank Sabatka? Beatty says, if I came at him straight, could I try to turn him? And they say, hey, don't make any promises, but go try. And so Frank's back at the office after a hard day's work. His lobbyist Bruce is there, tells him the grain pier is dead because Frank got his stink on it now, and that they'll have to try next year instead. And, Frank's really upset. He's like, I'm not the grain pier, just keep on working on it. Don't worry about me, but it's not going to happen. And he tells Bruce, the problem is with this country is we used to make shit, build shit. Now we just put our hand in the next guy's pocket.
Thanks for waiting, Brucey, son.
Frank, I shouldn't even be seen with you at this point.
I just want to settle our business while we still have the chance.
Frank.
Because it ain't like I'm going to get my hands on a whole lot more cash for obvious reasons.
Frank, the grain pier is dead. Half the votes we had lined up are walking sideways now. They read the paper, Frank.
So what? So I'm dirty? The grain pier's still the grain pier, right? They ain't voting for me, Brucey. It ain't about me.
I'm not gonna lie, Frank. No one is gonna stand with us now that the FBI is on you. They're scared.
Of what?
They took the money, Frank. And now they deliver the votes, they figure the feds are gonna be on them too. I'm sorry, Frank. Look, you find a way of putting this FBI thing to bed, and then maybe we can come back the next session with the grain pier. All right? You'll have a couple of people down there knowing they owe you a vote or two. I don't know what else to say. I don't. Sorry, Frank.
You know what the trouble is, Brucey? We used to make shit in this country, build shit. Now we just put our hand in the next guy's pocket.
It's interesting when you talk about we kind of used to always hit on the modern day relevance of this show. Does it still hold up? And I think this does, especially now where people are, we got tariffs going on and people are talking about bringing manufacturing to US, but really is that going to happen? And this is, 25 years ago. 20 years ago? This is 22 years ago.
22, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of this same thing. People are still talking about it and still thinking America used to be a place where we made things and should be, but that's not really a realistic modern day view, in my opinion, of how things can go.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's all the economics.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
It.
Yeah, like but to build that infrastructure and whatever, and then it's so automated anyhow. It was just like the same thing that Frank was dealing with when they were talking about the Danish piers and automating that whole process. Like bringing the industry back, it's not going to be the same as what you think it is anyway.
Yeah. You want to talk about this now, or you want to wait till we get to the?
Wait.
Okay, well, let's wait.
We'll get to the end.
Okay.
It's just this is where that cropped up in my mind. Anyway.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Oh golly, gee willikers. The Greek Spiros, they're having dinner. Spiros has no appetite. The Greek wants confirmation that their people are going to keep their mouths shut. He wants to make sure there's no more trouble. And he intimates that violence might be the way to make that happen. But Spiros is like, if we can keep Frank and Nico silent and alive, wouldn't that be better? And so he proposes that they use the not yet dead kid that worked for Double G to make up a story that works for Ziggy. Okay. Oh, dear.
Yep.
Let's see here. Herc and Carver are still waiting for Nick Sabaka. He has not come back yet to his house. They're waiting outside. They're exhausted. They make jokes about how pathetic he is because he lives at home still. Frank's in the union office still. And then Beatty comes in. And she says, talk to me. So he starts telling her he knew it was wrong and that he thought he was doing it for the right reasons. And she gets tearful and says, I want you to come in. And they're both really emotional in this scene. He will not make eye contact with her. He's looking off to the side, but he's crying. And I love this line, you're better than them you got in bed with, that she finishes up with and leaves. Pretty powerful.
Yeah,
and effective.
And I think that there's the contrast. I don't know if it's intentionally contrasted with Valchek, who Valchek just comes in triumphant and like just revels in fucking up Frank Sabaka's life in the union, whereas Beatty is like, it's tragic, and she sees the tragedy in it. So and she feels, if not, to the same degree that Frank is feeling, she is definitely on his level.
Yeah, and I think she knows like he wants a way to absolve himself, and like this, and is offering this as the way to do it.
My pal Beatrice. Was she gonna run me in again? Isn't that like double jeopardy or some shit?
Stop it. Just stop it. Talk to me.
And say what? I'm sitting here trying to figure it out myself.
Didn't happen overnight.
I knew I was wrong. But in my head, I thought I was wrong for the right reasons,
They're different kinds of wrong.
What are you doing here, B?
I'd like you to come in. Not in cuffs. Because you want to. I'm opening a door here, Frank. I can't promise you anything. Just come in. We'll start from there. You're better than them you got in bed with.
Okay, so let me see. Bunk and McNulty are watching Spiros' house, and he's still not there. They are wondering why he ditched the Benz. And Spiros, where is he? He's actually talking to Nico, and they're watching street hockey, and they're telling Nick that, hey, we'll be a friend to you. And that's when he shows Nick his passport, his new passport. And he's like, well, that's not your name. It's like, many names, you wouldn't believe what we can do. And when Nick asks what he thinks he can do for Ziggy, Spiro says, we ask only loyalty. So, Nico, what are we going to do with you?
Yeah.
Oh, you idiot.
Yeah, and I'm just now drawing the connection with Stringer. It sounds a little strange, but Stringer, like, kind of exploiting the emotional connection that Omar
Oh,
had
yeah.
to Brandon,
Yes.
and Spiros exploiting the emotional connection
yeah.
that Nick has with Ziggy. I guess that's just,
And it's weird to me too, because it's like, I don't know, like, we know that Spiros really likes Nick
Mm-hmm.
and is acting kind of fatherly toward him, and Nick is soaking it up. He's
Yeah.
got a good dad.
Yeah.
It's like so weird to me that, but he has a dad who's, I guess, kind of a little deadbeatish now, like not working and whatever. So maybe the fact that this other guy is so smart and has money is really appealing for him to listen to. All right, well, let's see here. Frank decides to come into the detail. Perlman asks what he's looking for, and he says, I just want you to help my son and my nephew. Frank says, I got dirt on all of them, and the only people I won't throw under the bus are any union men. And damn it, Rhonda says, you need an attorney and we can do this tomorrow morning. And I was just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And before he walks out, though, Freeman asks why he wants to know why Frank didn't use his cell phone. And Frank tells him, I knew it was marked.
Yeah.
So that's kind of at least a little bit of a nice moment before it gets really crazy, because here we go into the frenzy again. We have Spiros, the Greek, and Koutras. They're all having a delicious dinner. And then this Greek music, almost kind of festive sounding Greek music, starts getting going. It's really weird. It's weird music to be listening to while you're watching this, because Nick then calls Frank, tells him what's up with what Spiros told him. Spiros tears up his old passport. Nick and Frank meet up, and then Nick shares a meeting location with the Greek. Frank calls Nick about the heroin and expresses his regret for ever letting those boys get in with the Greeks. Oh, he calls him out, calls him out about the heroin. He tells Nick that he's going to tell the cops everything, and Nick says, don't do that if you want to save Ziggy. All they want is your loyalty. And what is Frank to do? You can't tell by his face at all. His expression doesn't say, but he does say he'll hear them out by himself. And he heads out to meet up with them just as the proffer is getting stamped and sent on its way. And we follow the proffer as the audience through the hallways as Frank is driving to go meet up with these guys. The proffer goes into the system, and who sees it? Fucking Koutras. Fucking Koutras sees it. Koutras calls the Greek, and the Greek tells Spiros, your way, it won't work.
Yep.
Oh, that is where that episode ended. Oh, God. Oh, that's it, Chris.
That is the end.
That is the end. Man. What is going to happen? It's bananas.
I will not say.
Oh, the lining up of all of that at the end, though, was just excellent.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the song first. So
Tell me about
this
the song.
is one of the rare times where the music is not part of the environment. So just kind of interesting about that. The song itself is called Efie Efie. It's by Stelios Kazantzidis, Greek, I'm guessing. So the lyrics are kind of interesting, are interesting, and we should just post them to our socials. But let's see, I'll just kind of highlight a couple. So, in my entire life, I will have a burden on my conscience for the so many mistakes of mine that turned you away from me.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's a love song, but but of course, like, the lyrics really do apply to this kind of thing. So it's a really nice touch in terms of some of the messaging otherwise. But that walk towards the Greeks. God. It's just,
your way, it won't work as he's walking over there and they're looking at Frank and not even each other. It's just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So, and this episode for Chris Bauer, how he didn't win Best Supporting, let alone wasn't even nominated, is insane.
It is insane.
Because you have him and Ziggy, you have him with the FBI where he's talking about help my union.
Yeah.
You have him and Frank, him and Bruce, like, what we used to do with Brucey, him and Beatty,
which is excellent.
And then him and Nick, where he's like, those motherfuckers, and he's like, kicks oh my God.
I know.
How did one actor do all that?
I
don't know. It's incredible.
It's
an incredible performance.
Yes.
So, and of course, like, his walk I mean, I don't know. There's just something about like he's just walking very like purposefully, slowly.
Yep.
It's. I don't know. I just have all the respect in the world for the guy, and so anyway, I just really appreciate the performance that he put in this episode.
Very
so,
good.
yeah, and that's it. So now we'll find out what happens.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I'm not feeling good about this.
No. So a couple of things. We did the callbacks.
Okay.
I think so. I was like, were there some good cameos? The only one that had actually like stood out to me was the guy in the Union Hall who's like, I don't see no resemblance.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
That was good.
And the fact that Frank could be like, we're both Pollock. That
yes.
What else do you need? I like that, but there wasn't a lot of
You're
like cameos that I thought.
I don't think that there are.
And you know what? I forgot to mention when Landsman and Daniels were together. I just like Delaney Williams' performance there because he's looking at Daniels as they're talking, and he's got his jaw set, and he's just like he knows he's about to get his ass kicked, and he's ready, and then he clenches his eyes, and he's like, they cleaned it, didn't they? So I like that, and that kind of leads me a little bit into my life lesson. It's not my big one, but I like how Daniels is so pissed, and then he's like. So how'd the kid play it? And he just like is trying to listen and I don't know, like just Daniels that kind of thing where you're like, okay, get pissed in the moment, and then you got to move on and deal with shit.
I like that too.
Because like when I'm watching this and I'm like in maybe a darker moment, I'm like, Daniel should have just fucking hung Landsman out to dry to be like, Rawls, you believe this fucking idiot? We had 14 murders tied up, and your dipshit here, Sergeant, can't get this together. And it goes anyway. But that's he's a better man than I am. So the life lesson that I wanted to mention, I think, and we already touched on it a little bit, but like wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
Like being wrong even for the right reasons. It's like, have you ever heard that the philosophical question, is it wrong to steal a loaf of bread to feed your family? It is. Like, I mean, you like to think that hopefully someone is the people that are enforcing the law will look kindly on you, but it is still a crime.
Right.
Like, I don't want to be insensitive to the fact that people have, these basic needs, but nevertheless, but like wrong is wrong.
Right.
So if you are doing something ethically wrong, whatever your reasoning is, like that's how people justify these kinds of things. It's like, oh, well, I don't really believe this, or I don't really support this side, but I'm, going in this direction because there's other stuff that that appeals to me. And it's like, that's how you get in the situation where like, well, I didn't vote for that. And it's like, yeah, you did. Like, you just didn't like that part of it. And anyway, kind of, I'm in a little bit of a political place, but the point is that like, when you make these kind of compromises on your ethics, ultimately you just keep going down that road. That's what happened with Nick.
Right.
Right. It's like, well, he just stole some cameras, and what's the big deal? It's like, this is a luxury item, and what's the difference? But well, once you go down that, even a step down that road, it's a slippery slope to. And actually, and sorry, that just reminds me of something else, which is Spiros, when he's talking with Nick, he said, like right off the back, Nick says, I should never gone down the road with you people. And Spiros says, you tried to make something of yourself. And I thought that was really an interesting comment of like, he tried to make something of himself is how Spiros looked at it, but it's not, I don't know, like he wasn't like he was trying to start a business, or he was just trying to get up off his ass, right? That's what it is. I'm on my ass, Uncle Frank.
Yes.
And he is just trying to like get his basic needs met.
Right.
And just some like self-sufficiency. It wasn't about something grander than that. And, so I thought that was kind of interesting. But of course, like once you start down that road, I was like, Nick, as soon as he like got enough for a new car, he should have just said, okay, I'm done. And I'm going to start working on something else.
Yes.
But, once you're, and his dad says the same things. Once you get a taste, you just expect him to go straight. No, you're not going to do that.
No.
So
Anyway. I know. Yeah. And wrong is wrong. I mean, like, you're getting rich, but you're doing it by, giving people harmful drugs or
plus that,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So 100%. Like, wrong is wrong, Nick. Like, you're selling drugs just to like, so you have a roof over your head. but you're still selling drugs. Like you're still breaking the law.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So that's that was my life lesson. I don't know. And so here's my question.
Okay.
So if you rewind to even before the season started, imagine you're Frank, before the Greeks, you get tied up with them.
Yep.
You can see the landscape though. Mm-hmm. What do you think he could have done differently that was on the legal side? I don't know enough.
I don't know. I mean, he didn't have the money it takes big money to lobby. It really does. You know, still today, it takes big money to lobby, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And that's the only way that he was going to, when you're talking about development, like that's the only way that you're going to get politicians to listen to you is if you have a lobbyist on your side. So I don't know. I really don't know. I wish, going even back, I just wish he could accept that this is not the future and, usher his boys, well, both of his boys to, do something else, to get an education, to, I don't know, just anything else.
That's,
to be stuck in that mindset is really what screwed him.
Yeah.
That could come back, that could change.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's, I've certainly that. Like that was if there's one thing that I look back on and think, sorry, there's only so much story that the writers can put in.
Right.
So this was certainly not an important part of it, but it's like, if you know that this is the future, you're looking at that presentation, you're seeing robots, you're like, okay, I got to get these guys some kind of skill training, whatever, to allow them to jump ship when they're ready.
Yeah.
Right. That one guy that I forget his name, but the guy that came into the bar and got the money from Dolo.
Right. Yes.
Right. He was like, I'm going to go with a different union.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the choice, is like, I'm not going to go somewhere outside of the union business. I'm going to go with a different union.
Right.
And so whereas like Frank should be seeing the landscape, would have made sense for him to say like, hey guys,
for instance, right?
Exactly.
Like, why can't you get a job doing that? Or something? I don't know. I just felt like there, it's not like there couldn't have been other skilled labor type jobs, but
yeah, and I don't want to. Sorry, and it's just I want to make clear that it's like I'm not saying it's easy to jump from one to the other, but like you certainly want people to kind of be trained.
Exactly. I would not have encouraged that for Frank himself or for anybody in his age, but for his children.
Yeah, exactly.
For Nick, for those guys coming up when there's like no work for them, to then encourage them to do something different.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean but it just feels like so. Oh, sorry. Yeah, just the last thing I was going to say is like, I think the only other option would be, how do you find a lobbyist that will do work for you that doesn't require however much Bruce DiBiago was charging?
Right.
It's like, all right, Bruce, like, well, look, we're a dying union. How much can we get for you? And just see if he'll do it kind of at a reduced rate or whatever it is. But anyway, I mean, it's just one of those things where like, I'm sure that he was just like, well, yeah, I'll smuggle, a can or two off the dock and the money's good. And what's the big deal? And, but of course, like, it just, that's how you end up with 14 dead women in a can and all that stuff. So, but, so that leads us to how well the episode held up. So I wanted to, because I didn't want to, in the moment, I wanted to pause it, but here's where it is, like, right. So we always now we just put our hand in the next guy's pocket.
Yeah.
Right. It was sort of the thing. I don't think it's quite as cynical. I don't have that necessarily that cynical view, but we are not as much a manufacturing and kind of a production, we're a consuming economy in the United States in any case. And so I think that the way I look at it is the acceleration of kind of technology and things. That's the to me what really holds up is we just leave people behind.
Exactly.
And that's the part that's so tragic. It's
100%.
Like, you definitely feel like these guys could have done something different.
Yes.
If they had the opportunity, someone was bringing them along.
Yes.
But that's not what happened.
Right.
And
right.
So, so
I agree. And I do think that like, just like, Frank has the mentality, if we could just bring this, we could make something again. We could, bring back manufacturing jobs. Things would be better. And I just think that holds up. Like people still have that mentality that if we could just do that, things would be better. without looking forward and seeing the fact that like so much of it is automated now, and we're not going to go back to the days where like one person is fashioning a piece of Tupperware or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
It's not going to be like that. And in America, is somebody going to want to sit for 9 hours a day just, operating a robotic punch press with 5 other people in this? It's just, people have this glorified idea of what it's like, and or what it was like and what it could be like. It just doesn't hold up.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wish I hate like dumping problems. And here's the problem. It's like without any kind of solution.
Yeah.
But I do feel like to some degree there is. It's kind of about like how do we as a society see where the people are kind of falling through the cracks, and how do we address that?
Right.
And so. In a situation like this with guys at the union, I get the feeling they're very capable, right?
Yes.
Like they can, you throw them into any kind of, task where there's, you have to kind of figure things out with your hands and things like that. I get the sense that they would have no problem doing that, but it's about like, oh, this is an underserved kind of community, and we've got to reach out to them and say, hey, this is this is a talent pool that we're not reaching into, and we could. And so that part, it feels like, how do we identify those areas, and how do we make sure that they are aware of opportunities potentially outside of what is a pool that is drying up underneath them. So I don't know, I don't think that's not a solution, but
it's a direction.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. It's kind of depressing. But then again, this whole episode's kind of depressing.
Episode is
bad
depressing.
Bad dreams. So,
bad dreams.
All right. Well, so that does bring us to the end, and we've talked it all out. So, all right. Well, let's get us to your predictions.
Oh my God.
I mean, let's start with the big one.
I don't know if Frank's gonna get killed or not. Once upon a time I would have said, no, he's too important of a character. But where does his story go after this? There's no place for his story to go when I think of the bigger picture. So I think Frank dies.
Okay.
I think Frank dies. And if Frank dies, then there's no hope for Nick or Ziggy. So they go to jail. Oh my God, this is terrible. Well, Ziggy stays in jail.
Yep.
Nick goes to jail. Ooh, it's getting more depressing by the minute. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think Spiros gets away.
Okay.
He is so smart, and he's done this so many times. I think he gets away. I don't know about Sergei and Eitan. Like, will they have enough? These guys aren't even saying who their names are. They're keeping their mouths shut. And we now know that Kutris knows what's all going on. So I don't know how much more he's going to massage for them. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure on Eitan and Sergei.
Okay. There you go. Okay.
I think Omar's going to put out there that he is coming back for Stringer. And
so that you are now at, let's see, you are now at 4, 5. So you are going for it.
I'm going for it. I think,
so if you feel like you're at the, because I was going to ask you about the Stringer thing.
Okay. I think Beatty and McNulty go for another date.
Okay.
I'd like them to.
Okay.
That's it. I think that's all I got.
Okay.
Unless there's something else I should be making a prediction about that I can't think of right now.
Well.
Ooh, will McNulty get to stay in Homicide? Will he get to go back to Homicide? I think yes.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Chris, your face.
No. There's a. Okay. I wanted to lead you to that. There's an important question.
Okay.
Because we have it's one episode left in the season.
One episode, yeah.
So I will ask you as vaguely as I can.
Okay.
Is there a storyline that is still out there that you can think of?
I mean, let's see here. So we have what's going to happen with the drugs. Is that what you're talking
No.
about?
No.
Okay. Because we don't know what's going to happen. There's no Prop Joe's not going to be getting his drugs from the Greeks anymore.
Okay.
So that was the one I was thinking of. Okay, another storyline that's still out there is Lieutenant Daniels after the detail's over.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it? Do they get the surveillance van back?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Dang it. I don't know what you're leading me towards.
Okay.
I feel like you.
What was the inciting event of the entire?
The girls,
Correct.
the 14 dead women.
So,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you directly.
Yeah.
Will they solve the case?
Okay.
But you see why I was trying.
Yes.
I was trying
Okay.
to be. I was
Here's
trying to be
here we go.
vague on
Yep.
it.
Okay. Yes. Nick's gonna talk. Frank dies. Nick talks. That's what I say.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yep.
And Nick talking leads to the.
Yeah.
Leads to the. Okay. Solve it. Okay. Perfect.
Okay. That's what I think.
That was the question that I wanted to get us through.
Okay.
Lisa solving the case of the dead girls. Okay, perfect.
All right.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is a heavy one. The second to last is again a heavy one. So okay. Well, thank you, Elliot. Thank you for pushing through. Go watch the next one. Right
I'm
after
going
this.
to. I need to.
Yeah. All right. Well, friends, we will be back next week to cover season 2, episode 12, the season finale, Port in a Storm.
Port in a Storm.
Finishing off the nautical theme. So
nice.
All right. Well, Ellie, thank you as always.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. And we will see you all next week.
Bye, everyone.
The Wired and Rewired podcast is Ellie Peterson and me, Chris Aronchek. Our theme song is Nice Vibes by Neon Beach. Want to holler at us? You can email us at wiredandrewired@gmail.com or hit us on the burner at 240-488-0060 to leave us a voicemail. We're Wired and Rewired on all the socials. And of course, if you like the show, please give us a rating and review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It helps other Wire fans discover the show. And until next time...
It's gotta be strawberry, huh? Hook a brother up.